Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with John Deere. I'm in southwestern Minnesota today visiting the Sullivan farm. Joe, thanks so much for having me out. And if you could tell our viewers and listeners about your farming operation.
So our farming operation is in kind of central Minnesota, about 2 hours west of the Twin Cities. We mostly are corn, soybeans, sugar beets, and some canning crops. Where we farm with our family is my two brothers and their wives, and then we have two nephews that have came back to the operation.
Quite a few pieces of green on the farm as well. Tell us about the John Deere equipment that you use.
So the John Deere equipment is we plant with three 8,000 series tractors. We are all high-speed planters, so we are pulling them with 370s on the planter, and then we run 490 four-wheel drives on a couple planters too. Just the horsepower requirements are quite extensive when you start really wanting to plant 10 miles an hour consistently. So, and then we come back with, we have a couple R series sprayers that we with the carbon fiber booms, 132 foot. So we got to run the carbon fibers. And then we are gone to some X9s for harvesting with the 18-row folding corn heads. Are quite nice.
What goes into how your family chooses the machinery that you use on the farm?
Virtually is serviceability. So how we can get service availability and parts uptime. That's really key to our operation to make sure that we're up as much as we possibly can be.
So we're north of Franklin in Renville County. Who is the local John Deere dealer that you work with?
So the local John Deere that I work with is the Kibble Group that we work with.
Let's talk about Operations Center now. And you have your laptop pulled up the screen here. This is Operations Center. How do you use it?
Operations Center is we are always logging in to see what locations of equipment, our utilization, where we are, what our actually cost per acre is of running a machine. Now that you are a fully integrated cab, we can do it. And then the other one is making sure you can push, different prescriptions and all that stuff. Now you don't have to try to get a memory stick out there. You can log in and get it done from here. Or if you need, there's a lot of times that the JD link, they're logging in to see the reports. Like today, there was a low coolant level. They started a tractor. You get notified right away, and you can see if you need to. And the other one is if you start running low on fuel and didn't pay attention, and you get a notification just like the tractor when it starts flashing, so we can start getting fuel to where it needs to be.
So pretty seamless in that everything's sort of integrated with this technology. Maybe give us an example of from planting through harvest. Maybe it's a yield map or some of the agronomic data that you're tracking, just ways in which Ops Center helps you to be profitable.
So I guess one of the most interesting ones is when you're in Ops Center and you can go into Field Analyzer, and then you can go into some of the, like we have historical data on, let's just go to, we'll go to the bin site field that we have. We'll log in there once. So the bin site field, I believe if we go back and look, I think we can have 10 years of corn and 10 years of soybean data that if we go to, we have 14 seasons of corn and 12 at your fingertips. You go into, to be able to do that in 1 year, all of a sudden pop all that data in to get an average. You truly know where your good and bad spots are and how to manage them. You are using your data that you never could be before, or it's not stuck somewhere. So it's pretty neat stuff. I mean, to be able to look at 14 years of just corn data just pulled up like that, it's crazy when you really think back to being able to do that. So
it's early February, although you wouldn't know it by looking out the window right now. Is this the time of year where maybe once or twice a day or a couple times a week, at least you are looking at data like this and starting to plan for the upcoming growing season?
Every day we're on it. Like right now I have a nephew that's working on trying to figure out what it actually costs to run each operation over our farm, with trying to figure out road time and all that. and now you can actually know how many fuels and how many hours that you did an operation is to really hone into what those types of costs are when you get into a tighter margin environment that we're going into. You can really put some dollars and cents and not just, well, it costs this. Well, what operation costs what we're trying to do a deep dive into.
What else about Op Center do you try to take advantage of?
Oh, the op center is kind of one of the real reasons why we are using John Deere's, is because there's nothing that works as seamlessly now that the data doesn't get locked on a screen. Like when you go in for like all of the different operations, okay, when did you do your operations? It'll tell you when and where and who at click, and you can pull it up on your app. You can make sure that everyone is, or you know if you can see your borders and different are a real one that we've been focusing on more and more. We've been RTK for a long time, but now that they actually are allowing you to do boundary fill, so you can pull in and you have AB lines right to do the edge. And then now we use auto path function. We're pretty heavy in sugar beets, and that virtually will drive the tractor exactly where it was planted. It is one of the best technologies that have ever been introduced, when you have to be very, very specific, and you have all the different, if you have a 132-foot sprayer to a 22-foot lifter, and the lifter has to be on all the time, or you're slicing beets and not putting them in the truck. So it's crazy when you can take your hands off and go around a corner lifting beets, and it's still picking every beet out of the ground. It's very neat technology. It'll back your defoliator into the corner without your hands even on the steering wheel. So, and then share, like if you're having issues with operators, you can log in and see and set them right through to get it set up, or something isn't quite right. You can see exactly what they're seeing is another good option.
So like with AutoPath and some of the other in-cab technology, just with the monitors that you have in the John Deere equipment, what do you like about them, or the interface and everything? Is it what you'd want?
The interface has been pretty good. We machinery sync, we haven't used it as much, but because we use articulated tractors in the row crop tractors, that machinery works really well to learn the on the 4-wheel drives using grain carts. It takes a little bit more fine tuning and learning curve, but it is a very interesting technology.
What else are you looking to adopt? We were talking earlier about the truck fleet and being able to track them through Op Center.
So right now we do not have that technology, but we are going to put the remote modems into all of the trucks, so we know where they are. I mean, it's so you know who's returning when, or if there's a lineup at a certain elevator, that you can divert trucks a different location, or you're waiting on a truck, but it stopped for some reason. Make sure you go find out, and then once they have it on the Op Center and they know where they are, they can actually click, find my, take me to this field, and it gives you drive directions how to get there. Is quite beneficial. To not everyone can remember, did I turn here? Is it 2 miles or 4 miles? So it's pretty neat on that.
Let's come back to the local Deere dealership, and it's safe to say you have dozens of John Deere equipment on your farm. What does that look like as far as getting parts in a timely manner? And maybe talk, Joe, about how critical it is, especially in the spring and fall, to get those parts quickly, to get back up and running as quick as possible.
Well, and some of it's just like, go back to op centers, they know exactly where the machine is located, and if there's some known issues that they can read in the codes before they come, so they bring some of the parts that could have been with, or you're already starting to figure out, okay, this is the part we need, where's it located, how do we get it in possession as quick as possible, so they're not coming out multiple times and we have more uptime. I mean, we do that all the time. They start, this is what it could be. Okay, where would that part be? And then once it's diagnosed, you either have someone on the way already. We've done that quite a few times just to keep stuff moving. So,
anything else about what you use through Deere that you want to be sure to talk about?
I think it's the ease of data, that everyone can see it. So it's not on my computer, it's not on a couple computers. It's, you can really move stuff back and forth, and you can get it all preloaded, and it actually goes out there. If you need to add one file, it's not, oh, I have to see if I can get that to load like it used to be. Now it's, you add the one file and send it to the one piece of equipment you need it to, and it's done within in seconds. And that's there's always things to improve. Like the one, if you that they could work on is like we use AutoPath a lot, spray beats and then come back with pre's. It would be nice if you could send that file, from one equipment to another, that you didn't have to run it through the op center and resend it out. But that's the only one that's kind of a pain in the spring, but it's not hard because you can log in anywhere and do it as long as you're on a laptop. So.
Sure. Let's talk about 2023 a little bit. And you mentioned earlier that margins are getting tighter. So recap last growing season and then talk about what preparations for 2024 look like.
So 2023 wound up being a little bit of everything. It was a little later spring to get done. There was a whole bunch of replanting, and then which once the AutoPath came in huge because we are passively guided. We have receivers on the planters, but we're able to come right in, spike in, replanted. 20% of the corn had to get replanted in all the potholes. So you were right on. You literally could drop the planter and you were in the right area, so it made it easier for harvest. And so that was really a nice spot. And then coming through, we had rain. We had around a 9-inch rain event in one day in this area. So you had to go make sure, and we actually have all of our intakes marks, if they're good or bad or missing after a big rain event like that. So you're not surprised if you come up to a washout or something, you kind of know that the area of an intake is coming. And in the fall, it wound up getting dry like everyone else, but all in all, we had a good year for what we were given. And then it just helps with, we do use the for crop insurance reporting. You can use the as a planted, that it just makes it easier.
How about for this year? Do you have anything that looks different from a rotational standpoint or from an input perspective?
No, it all stays. We don't deviate too far in a year from a rotation. We usually are about 45% corn and 45% beans, and then the other are canyon crops. So it in sugar beets. So we don't deviate too much. It's pretty normal.
Well, as we wrap up, let's talk about the family a little bit more. And we were trying to figure it out. 5, 6, 7 generations for the Sullivans here in Southwest Minnesota.
I would say it's at least 5 generations. We have 3 generations presently on the farm. So, yep. And one more back to the application. Like we also apply a lot of our own manure, and both of ours talk to each other, so they know exactly when one's running out for the other one. It can be variable rated, so they're talking to each other real time. So it doesn't matter if you're spreading at night or not, you know where it is and where you guys are working. That's probably one of the more that we utilize a lot. It allows you to do a much more accurate job. Not, I missed a spot and find it next August or in the combine. You're like, why is this so bad? So.
Well, it's an open winter right now. Do you think any farmers around here are getting the itch to do some recreational tillage or anything?
I know we are. We've had the planters in for one of the planters are getting rebuilt as we speak already. So it'll sneak up on us if we don't get much more moisture. So
yep, spring will be on top of us before you know it. Joe, I really appreciate you having me out to the farm today, and thank you for your time.